back.
All right. So we're talking about the functionality of beauty as it pertains to anything.
Okay.
Really.
So Anthony, is music structured? Do you need, in order to have good music that resonates with the human being, does it have to be structured?
Of course.
By the way, I rarely ever play guitar anymore. I relinquished my connection to music. I don't really do it anymore because I don't really care. Unless it's going to help me regenerate, I'm not going to bother doing it. Producing music is extremely dysfunctional. It really fucks your body up, and it doesn't leave you in a particularly good place at a physiological level. So I don't really do it. But music has functional capacity to it. Artwork has some functional capacity to it. Music does, and I like music because it has the timing component associated to it. I'm not big into the visual arts, although I thought Escher was pretty cool. I believe artistry is just simply there to make the medicine go down a little bit better. That's what it's supposed to do, right? You're supposed to implant relevance into a message, and artwork is what makes the medicine goes down. The relevance is the medicine, and the artwork is the sugar that makes it go down, if that makes sense.
It's interesting too, because I find that even building structures that are overly utilitarian, that are basically only serving the purpose of being a building, compared to, say, the architecture of Europe, where there's an artistry to the architecture as well. And I don't want to get too abstract, but there's a different feel. There's a different implication in terms of the human experience.
I agree.
Beauty.
I agree. When you're a dysfunctional organism, you're going to apt to find beauty in things that aren't very functional. And when you're functional, you might say, well, that's kind of arbitrary. So when I go there, I'm like, all that shit's fucking arbitrary. I don't care. I'm telling you, bro. So when you talk about science, I live it, bro. I don't give a shit. I'm willing to relinquish myself from my attachments to my artificialities in order to get to a better world. That's the whole thing. Most people are not willing to do that. Most people are just simply saying, like, you know why Western society and why the U.S. and why Western society prospers, especially the U.S. Why does it lead in innovation? Why do you think? I'm going to get a little bit political again. It's going to offend some people, but I don't care. I'm just simply saying. I'm just saying. This is why I don't do podcasts, by the way, because it's hard for me. I'm an open book. You don't. I don't hide anything. This is right. You guys can see it.
It's no filter network. That's the whole point of this.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing, is if I don't filter myself too much, I'm going to piss too many people off, and then they're going to want to fucking get my attention by saying that I'm some kind of a piece of shit or whatever, and I don't want to deal with it. But why does Western society succeed, and why do other societies not? What's the main variable? What do you think? What do you think I'm thinking?
Infrastructure, education,
tradition.
Life is easier. Yeah. Oh, interesting.
Tradition. Okay. Tradition is the reason that you don't. America has the least amount of traditions because it's one of the newest countries on the planet, and it's not very traditional. We don't have very much culture in America, and that's precisely why we succeed as well as we do. I don't want to speak too much on that, because if I dig deeper, I studied people, bro. I was more into behavioral science before I was ever into exercise. People have always fascinated me, and so for me, I always ask myself the question: why do people succeed and why do people fail? And to take it a step further, why do societies succeed and why do some societies succeed and why do some societies fail? And it's because there's some things they do right and some things they don't do right. And I'm trying to figure that out fundamentally.
That doesn't mean that each society is working. Like, let's say Nigerian Americans are known to have high incomes and they're coming from Nigeria, right? Yeah. So it really, their culture is hustle, let's go, let's do this, right? From what I've seen. So they
hustle in relation to technology, which is built off of science.
Yeah, but I'm saying that, like, when they come to America, they have the opportunity to do their thing because of, capitalism and the infrastructure's there, the money's there, where they wouldn't in their own country, right? So it's not so much the place, it is the person in the
I'd say the tradition of America is just having options and not having a tyrannical figure over, like, shooting down people like myself that enable people like me to be creative. That brings about America being what it is, and why it's so far beyond any other country on the planet. It's that freedom of expression where you can sound like a crazy person and say some crazy shit, but every once in a while you get a dude that says something relevant, and that ends up changing society for the better. So the idea is, the reason that Nigerian is able to do that is because he comes to a country where there's a greater capacity for him to express his potential in a system where like people don't shoot you down because you have a non-traditional outlook. The thing, if there is a tradition in America, is that there's a general open-mindedness to new ideas. Well, there's an open-mindedness if there's results that back up whatever the idea is being pushed forward. There has to be some kind of result. Whether the result can be skewed or not is another question. But